Hello and welcome back, viewers. You are with me, Surbhi Unyal. I teach philosophy at Hansraj College, University of Delhi. And we are doing a special lecture series under the symbolic expressions. We have with us Miss Manisha, who's going to interpret my lectures in sign language. In this special lecture series, we are doing an introduction to philosophy, which is basically for the beginners of philosophy. And in this lecture series, we are discussing yoga philosophy. In our previous lectures, we discussed the basic introduction of yoga philosophy. What is chit? What are various types of chitta vrittis and how we need to remove them, and why at all do we need to remove them. In today's lecture, we would be focusing upon the Ashtang Yoga. Yoga, it advocates control over the mind, the senses and the body. It does not really want to kill the body. On the other hand, it recommends its perfection. Why? Because a sound mind needs a sound body. Sensual attachments and passions distract body as well as the mind. Therefore, they must be conquered. And how we are going to do them? To overcome them, yoga gives us eightfold path of discipline, or it can also be known as Ashtang Yoga. So the prescribed 8 sadhanas to control the chittas are: the first is Yam, the second is Niam, third is Asana, fourth is Pranayama, fifth is Pratyahar, sixth is Dharana, seventh is Dhyan, and the last is Samadhi. So these are the eightfold path of discipline, or you can call it as Ashtang Yoga, as mentioned in the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. And these eightfold path will help us in overcoming all the kinds of sensual attachments or passions that distract our body as well as our mind. Now let us first understand the term Ashtang. So the word Ashtang, it comprises of 2 Sanskrit words which are Asht and Ang. Asht refers to the number 8 and Anga means the limb or the body part. Therefore, Ashtang is the union of the 8 limbs of yoga into one complete and holistic system. And that's why it is known as Ashtang Yoga. Why? Because the 8 steps, or you can call them as 8 limbs of yoga together, or in its completeness, comprises of this Ashtang Yoga. These 8 limbs refer to the 8 aspects of yoga as described by the ancient sage Patanjali in his Yoga Sutra. So let us look at all of these eightfold limbs, as you can call them, in detail. The first is Yam. The first limb consists of a set of ethics which ensures that the yogi interacts in a harmonious way with the surrounding community. The ethical precepts are not to harm others, to be truthful, not to steal, to abstain from passion and lust, and to abstain from greed. So this limb in the Ashtang Yoga, which is Yam, it basically refers to the ethical stage, or you can call it as ethical path, which ensures that the yogi should have or should live in a harmonious way in its surrounding community. And in doing that, the principles that lies under this limb includes that we should not harm others, we should be truthful, we should not steal something which belongs to others, we should abstain from passion or lust, and we should also abstain ourselves from greed. Therefore, Yam provides a foundation for living a virtuous and harmonious life. It means, as I just mentioned earlier, it means abstention and includes the 5 vows of Jainism. This abstention from injury through thought, words or deed, which is known as ahimsa, or falsehood, which includes satya, or from stealing, aste, from passion and lust, brahmacharya, and from greed, which is aparigraha. Let us look at what do we mean by ahimsa or non-violence. Ahimsa emphasizes the practice of non-violence and compassion towards all living beings, including ourselves. It includes refraining from causing harm both physically and emotionally or mentally. So, ahimsa encourages us to cultivate kindness, empathy, and a deep respect for all forms of life, and that is known as ahimsa or non-violence. The second is satya or truthfulness. Satya means practicing truthfulness in our thoughts, words, and actions. It involves being honest with ourselves as well as with the other. It includes speaking with integrity and living in alignment with our values. Satya also includes avoiding falsehood, deceit, and exaggerations. Then comes aste or non-stealing. Aste refers to non-stealing. It extends beyond material possessions and encompasses respecting the boundaries and the belongingness of others. So, it encourages us to cultivate contentment, gratitude, and an attitude of sufficiency rather than seeking to acquire what belongs to the other. Then comes Brahmacharya or celibacy or moderation. Brahmacharya traditionally refers to celibacy and the conservation of sexual energies. However, in broader sense, it encourages the moderation and responsible use of our physical, mental, and emotional energies. It involves self-control, maintaining a balance in our relationship and activities, and directing our energies towards the spiritual growth. The last is aparigraha, which is non-possessiveness. So aparigraha teaches us to let go of possessiveness and attachments to the material possessions or ideas and relationships. It involves recognizing that the true happiness and freedom come from within rather than relying on the external objects. So aparigraha, it encourages simplicity, it encourages detachment and the understanding that everything is transient. So, having had a look over all these types of yamas or how we need to have an ethical conduct, this practicing the yama in the Ashtang Yoga, it will help us in ethical conduct, compassion and a sense of interconnectedness with all the beings. The yamas, it provides a moral compass guiding us to live with integrity, kindness and awareness of the impact of our thoughts, our words and our actions on ourselves and also on the world outside us or around us. So by embodying these principles, we create a foundation for the spiritual growth or self-transformation and a harmonious existence. Moving now to the second limb, which is Niam. After Yam, let's move on to the second limb, which is Niam. So in Ashtang Yoga, Niam refers to the second limb of the Eightfold Path, which focuses on personal observances and self-discipline of inner growth. Niam guides individuals in developing a positive and virtuous relationship with oneself. So in the first one, which is Yam, we saw that it emphasizes our relationship with the other, and therefore it talks about the ethical conduct or living a harmonious life in the society. While Niam, it refers to our inner self, or you can say developing our inner self or our inner growth through self-discipline. So it is a self-culture and includes external and internal purification, which is known as Shauch. It includes contentment, which is Santosh, austerity, which is Tapas, or Swadhya, and a devotion to God. So in the first sub-part of Niam, which includes Shauch or cleanliness, it again involves both external as well as internal cleanliness. Externally, it refers to maintaining cleanliness of our physical surroundings, such as our own body, living space, and environment. And internally, it refers to purifying our thoughts, our emotions, and our intentions. So, Shauch encourages us to adopt healthy habits and practices that promote physical and the mental well-being. Alright, so in taking care of our inner growth, the first is that there has to be a cleanliness of internal as well as externally. We need this cleanliness of cleaning our body, our environment, or internally by purifying our thoughts, our intentions, our ideas, our emotions, and so on. Fine, and in doing that, these are the healthy habits that we need to practice for us to promote physical and the mental well-being. The second is santosh, which is contentment. So santosh is the practice of finding contentment and inner peace in the present moment. It involves cultivating gratitude for what we have rather than constantly seeking external validation or material possessions. Fine, so santosh teaches us to accept things as they are and to be satisfied with the present circumstances, fostering a sense of joy and equanimity. Then comes tapas, which is discipline. So tapas refers to self-discipline and the willingness to exert effort for self-transformation. It involves cultivating determination, perseverance, and consistency in our yoga practice and other areas of life. Tapas also includes the practice of austerity and willingly embracing discomfort to overcome obstacles and develop inner strength. Swadhya, which is self-study or you can say self-reflection, is the practice of knowing yourself through self-introspection and self-reflection. So it involves introspection, self-inquiry, and self-awareness to understand one's thoughts, emotions, and patterns of behavior. So Swadhyaya also encompasses the study of sacred texts, philosophical teachings, and the scriptures to gain wisdom and deepen the spiritual understanding. The last is Ishvara Parindhan, which is, our devotion to God or surrendering to the higher power. It refers to surrendering to the higher power or to the divine. It involves recognizing that there is a greater force beyond our individual ego and understanding that we are interconnected with the universe. And it encourages humility, it encourages trust and devotion, allowing us to let go of control and surrender to the flow of life. Now, by practicing the Niam in the Ashtang Yoga, individual develops self-discipline and self-reflection and a deeper connection with themselves and the divine. The Niams provide a framework for personal growth, fostering inner transformation and nurturing a balanced and harmonious relationship with oneself. Though the cultivation of these qualities individuals can experience greater contentment, self-awareness and spiritual evolution of their yogic path. Therefore, this is so important. Moving on to the third limb of the Eightfold Path, which is Asana. So, in the Ashtang Yoga, Asana refers to the third limb of the Eightfold Path. Asanas are the physical postures or poses that are practiced in yoga. Ashtang Yoga follows a specific sequence of asanas designed to purify and strengthen the body, also to increase flexibility and to promote overall well-being. So it means steady and comfortable posture. There are various kinds of postures which are of physical help to meditation. This is the discipline of the body. Fine. So why is asana important is because when you will be able to attain that steady and comfortable posture, it will then facilitate you to meditate in a proper manner. So it is in a sense a physical help to meditation. Fine. So when your body is disciplined, when your body can sit for long hours, you will be able to meditate for long hours. Fine. So this is how we are disciplining the body. Next comes the pranayama. In Ashtang Yoga, pranayama is an essential component and the fourth limb of the Eightfold Path. Pranayama refers to the practice of breath control and regulation. It helps to challenge and expand the vital life force or energy within the body, which is this life force energy can be known as the pran. So, pranayama here means to control the breath and deals with the regulation of inhalation, retention and exhalation of the breath. It is beneficial to health and is highly conducive to the concentration of the mind. But it must be performed under expert guidance, otherwise it may have bad after effects. So we will continue our this discussion on pranayama and various other limbs of the Ashtang Yoga in our next lecture. This is all for this lecture, and stay with us to understand what are the other limbs in the Ashtang Yoga and what are their significance. Thank you, viewers.